This is the Common Council meeting on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019 at 7 p.m. The meeting is called to order. Would you please call the roll?
Alderperson Labatsky,
Present.
Alderperson Bailey,
Present.
Alderperson Akers,
Present.
Alderperson Sarian,
Present.
Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Item B is opening prayer. Deacon Leggett.
Father, we give you thanks for this day and ask for your blessings on all of us. The members of this common council ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support as they begin their meeting. Give them the spirit of service and fill them with your grace as they make decisions that will affect this community. In a special way this evening, we give thanks to the men and women who served or are now serving in our military as we prepare to honor them this next Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day. We also pray for our first responders who watch over us each day. Keep them safe. We pray this to you, who are Lord and God forever. Amen.
Amen. Item C is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand and join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving along to item D, I'd entertain a motion to approve the October 15th, 2019 Common
So
Council
moved.
minutes. Motion by
Second.
Alderperson Bailey, second by Alderperson Labatsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Under Mayor's report this evening, and I want to just let everybody know that we're going to be a little out of order this evening. We're going to go through items I-2 and then J1 and 2, and then go into closed session, and then come back out of closed session to finish the rest of the agenda. We have a bit of a family emergency that we need to get rectified with one of our members here. Under Mayor's report this evening, I'm going to be issuing a proclamation. I didn't have time to agendaize it, but over the weekend something special happened. I want to share with you the proclamation I will be giving in the future. Whereas the 2019 Greenfield Middle School 8th grade junior Hawks football team by head coach Adam Fisher and his staff finished the 2019 season an amazing 9-0. And whereas the Hawks reached the Division II 2019 All-American Youth Football League Championship game, and whereas the Hustling Hawks defeated the Waukesha North Stars with a final score of 12-6 at Wisconsin Lutheran College Robbie Stadium to win the Division II championship, and whereas the entire city of Greenfield is proud of this phenomenal accomplishment, now therefore I, as mayor of the city of Greenfield with the authority vested in me, do declare the Greenfield Middle School 8th grade Junior Hawks Football Champions Month, November, the month, in the city of Greenfield. I'll be issuing that proclamation at a banquet coming up. I just thought it was important. The 8th grade team has never won the championship. It's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Congratulations, folks. Under F, Aldermanic reports, are there any this evening? Under G, are there any announcements this evening?
Do you want to say anything about the 68th Street Bridge, is the noise people are hearing?
Button?
The 68th Street Bridge?
Yeah, I guess that would be an announcement or a report. So many of you at night, and the police chief forwarded me a message this morning explaining that we've received a number of calls with regard to drilling and banging and all sorts of loud noises. The Department of Transportation is removing the bridge across 68th Street across 894. That's expected. The real noise is expected to last a few more days, maybe throughout the week.
At night?
At night. They close the freeway down at night when they're doing that, and traffic is routed, I think,
On
along
Layton Avenue.
So it's going to be inconvenient for many people, and it's going to be noisy for a while. They have to do it at some point. If you've ever been under the bridge, you'd understand why they're replacing it. So everyone asks for your patience, and it's nothing bad. It's just it's a bridge, right? Okay, under old business, is there any citizen commentary? I have Don Carlson at 5082 West Colonial Court. Did you want to speak now?
Don Carlson, 5082 West Colonial Court. I'm a board member of the Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association, and we're having our membership meeting this Thursday, the 7th. It'll begin at 6:30, where we'll have the business portion of the meeting, and then at 7 o'clock, we'll have our guest speaker, who is Inspector Daniel Hughes from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. So we'd like to have a good turnout, invite everybody here to come and speak and, or come and listen, and then also it's open to the public, so invite members of the public in addition to our members and guests to come also.
Again, what day and time and place was that?
It's this Thursday, the 7th. It's at the Law Enforcement Center in the courtroom. Business meeting will start at 6:30, and then our guest speaker, Inspector Hughes, will begin at 7.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, moving along to I noticed that Crystal Wadowski and Joe Chaika is here. Your items are coming up, so we'll defer your citizen commentary until that time. Item I, old business. I don't have any appointments, and I don't think there are any council appointments under item I, A, B, or C, so we'd ask that that be placed on the next agenda. Item I2, under old business, is an adoptive resolution to allow the claim of Thomas and Jacqueline Jaworski. Is that,
Correct.
fill us in on that?
Sure. Council will recall that this was a claim that there was some confusion many months ago about whether he had filed everything all at once or if there was additional claims. In essence, this relates to a sewer backup that occurred on his property on Ramsey Avenue. Council had previously authorized payment of the cleanup costs to remove the sewage from the basement. There is the second part of that claim, which is for the reconstruction of the rec room and the basement areas that he had. The claim that he is seeking is for $10,021.16. I have had the opportunity to go out and take a look at the basement at the suggestion of our insurance company to take a look at it. At the end of the day, recognizing that we've already authorized payment of the claim as it related to the cleanup costs, obviously presumably that reasoning would carry forward to this second claim for the basement damage aspect of it. However, we don't have to pay to put individuals in a better position than they were. And so in this particular case, we have a basement that by all accounts looks to be probably original to the home. I think that Tom, the owner, indicated that you've been there for 38 years, I think you said. Yeah, and it was in the home when he bought it at that point, and it looks like it is original to the home of probably somewhere in the 50-year-old range. So it is really old paneling that is just tacked up on strips on the basement walls. There was some carpet that presumably, although the carpet wasn't there because it's been removed, carpet was likewise probably of that same era. So the costs that he is looking to recover basically put him in a position that he obtains a much better product. For example, there is talk within the quotes of doing moisture barriers and that kind of stuff, which didn't exist at the time of the original construction. And so with that in mind, my recommendation would be that the council allow the claim because we've already decided to do that in essence by the first part of the claim, but that we not pay the full amount of the claim, but instead reduce that to reflect the fact that to pay the full amount amounts to a betterment of the property. My recommendation would be to pay somewhere in the 50 to 75% range, leaving that up to ultimately the council in terms of what you think is appropriate.
What would 75% be?
I'm a lawyer, I don't do math, but I can do it quickly.
Not sure.
I don't know why we're in closed session.
I don't know if we are, if that's the,
We didn't make a motion to go into closed session.
I don't think we are. I think that's
I
a
don't think we
mistake.
are yet. I think it's just there, we're not. Okay, good. Our screens say that we're in closed session and we're not in closed session, so that's what we're jabbering up here.
They're still sitting here, just the audience can't see.
Well, they could see something on the wall.
Did they?
The screen's not down. Behind you, it was saying
New
it.
system.
So if you took 25% off, that would be $7,515.87. So I would just round that to 7,600 and call it good, is what I would suggest if the 75% mark is what you would look at.
Is
So
there
moved.
Motion by Alderperson Kastner to accept the 75% mark.
Second.
Which is at $7,515, something like that, whatever the
Right.
number was. Is there a second?
Surely.
Second by Alderperson Saren, would you please call?
So it's that exact number, not rounding it to 7,600? Is that what is that what we're saying?
I think that's the motion, yes.
Okay.
7-6?
Or-
I don't, it would've-
So the total
I
claim
think
was,
he under, okay.
go ahead.
What was your motion?
the even number.
What was the number, 7,5?
Well, the
He's-
exact number was 7,515 and change. I said to just round it up to
76?
7,600.
All right, 7,600.
That was my motion. I
Which is
assumed.
below the entire.
Okay, I just have
process.
a question under discussion, since there was a first and a second. So the total claim was 10,021.16,
Correct,
and we're paying 75%.
correct.
So that's the ACV? Or we're just coming up with that compromise?
It's an estimate. I mean, obviously, I'm not an adjuster, so I don't have access to all of that fancy data of, how we do that. But in essence, that is the attempt that what we're trying to do. That here is, what he had minus some depreciation, and to pay that out.
I think there's a recognition that the basement is very, very old, and it has probably depreciated itself over the course of 50 years. And an insurance company today may say that it's not worth much, right? But it's also the recognition that it was a completed basement.
It's 40 years old.
Yep.
House
So,
was built in 80,
80, okay.
40 years.
I
So,
graduated in 81, so when you said that it was 40 years old, that just made me feel really
so it was like
It's original.
orange shade carpet and paneling and, in your era, Michael.
kind of like your house.
Yeah.
Not
So
anymore.
the motion was made and seconded for $7,600, is that right?
Yeah.
Would you please call?
Alderperson
I
Labatsky.
was only kidding about that.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Can we wait before we do the roll call, please?
No, actually, he's got to get going pretty
Okay,
quickly.
I just think, looking at this, that 50% would probably be a better number.
There's a motion and second. Do you wish to amend the motion to reduce it to 50%?
I didn't make,
If you want
Make
to.
a motion, you can.
There is a motion and a second.
Make a
for
motion to
75
amend it.
For $7,600, which is roughly 75% of the value. Would you like to make a motion to reduce that?
I would. The claim is inflated somewhat.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to reduce the value of the claim from roughly 75% to 50%,
About 2,500 bucks.
about $2,500. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Bailey. Okay, would you call on the amendment to reduce the amount from roughly $7,600 to 50% of the value of the claim?
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Nay.
Alderperson Kastner.
No.
The amendment passes, so it's at 50%, which is a 5,000, do we know what that number is? Sorry, what is the total value?
10,000 some change, so it'd probably be 5,000.
5,010.58.
5,010.58. Do you want to,
Say like 51?
51? Is that reason,
5,100.
5,100? Yes, or do you want it to be 5,000?
You see, the motion is 50%, we gotta go with that.
Okay, the motion is 50%, $5,010.58. Okay, so the amended motion, would you call on that for $5,010.58?
We did already, Mike.
No, we called on the
No.
amendment.
Oh,
Amendment.
the amendment.
So now this is the original motion as amended.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
No.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, we're going to move along to some new business. The two folks are here that signed up for citizen commentary with regard to these claims. The first is adopting a resolution to disallow the claim of Joe and Dawn Sageka? Trika, sorry. There's no T in there, you know that, right? You did sign up for citizen commentary, so you can come, while you're coming up to the microphone,
Sure.
do you want to explain what's going on?
Sure. Both of these claims deal with some automobile damage. Incidentally, both damaged tires to their vehicles. In both cases, the claimants drove through what amounts to active construction zones, depending on which one. Mr. Chaika drove through on Morgan Avenue as part of the reconstruction there, and that was into his alley, correct?
Yeah, the only place we have for parking.
Right. There's an alley there between 43rd and 44th Streets, and as part of that, damaged his tires on some of the construction activities there. On the second claim, the Wadowski claim, the damage there was from grading activities in the 5500 block of South 43rd Street, where the claimant was driving through an area that had just been graded. It is believed that perhaps maybe some stones or something had been poking up and damaged the tires. In both cases, our office's recommendation after reviewing the claim would be to deny the same because you have both a question as to whether or not we even had knowledge that there was a hazard that existed. Certainly you would anticipate within a active construction zone that there may be hazards that from time to time would exist, but not necessarily something that we would do. Likewise, our contract with the contractor would require that if there was damage that they would be the responsible party, not us. And so if we denied the claim and got sued, we would likewise just turn that over to the contractor for them to pay the claim as well instead of taxpayer dollars. So that would be the basis for our recommendation.
What's the value of Mr.
Chaika.
Thanks. Name, do you know?
You know, it's not in the packet, and I could pull up my computer for sure. But I think Mr. Chaika's, as I recall, was in the $550 range, or am I thinking?
We submitted 2 estimates after I spoke with Jennifer that were submitted. One was for like 800 and some, but I'm not asking for all of that. You know, I'm in construction. I get things happen. The reason why I'm here is, first off, I had to contact my alderwoman, so thank you for getting us in contact with the engineer who finally got back to me after several emails and calls. And Jennifer and her office has been very helpful as well. The reason why the claim got to this point was because of negligence on the contractor's part. They only left 7 feet of access to the alley, which they assured us that we would have access all the time. An apron like that takes 7 days to cure. This is well over a month. When the contractor removed the concrete forms, they left concrete spikes in place. So not only did you have a raw edge of concrete, 8 inches thick, but the concrete spikes that hold the forms in, which lessened the width. So, I mean, from cars driving actually through my lawn to get around this obstacle to, obviously my wife has an SUV, so, you know, we're talking inches on both sides. You know, accidents happen. All that I would request is the repair on the 2 driver's side wheels, not 4 all the way around. And, you know, I guess, you know, Jennifer said it's worth a, worth an ask. That's why I'm here.
So Brian, do we have the option to pay the claim and then go after the contractor for that project?
I mean, that always becomes kind of a gray area. If we did that, the contractor's first line of defense would be to say, wasn't our fault, we weren't responsible, you paid it for no reason. We then end up in a weird position where we are suggesting that, that something we did caused harm, which is something that we never typically like to admit in the first
Do you
place.
have photos?
I submitted photos with everything as well.
Is
Did
there-
you submit it to your insurance company?
My first recommendation from my insurance company was to submit it to the Greenfield City, as well as after the conversation that the assistant engineer called me back, he told me to do the same. So that was my first go-to. Outside of, you know, then I would essentially come back and try to get for the deductible, right? You know, so I'm trying to go for the path of least resistance and least cost. I'm a single income house, you know what I mean? So
Okay. Just from my perspective, the first thing you said was the negligence of the contractor,
agreed,
and we're not the contractor.
agreed,
Okay.
but contracted through you, with all due respect.
Great.
I believe in the email we received on this, wasn't it also we pay some kind of insurance for the contracting too? So wasn't it like, we've already paid for this insurance that the contractor holds, so why we'd be double paying if we pay for it on top of it?
In a way, yes. I mean, part of our contract with the contractor, part of the payment for that was for the protection that we got in the contract, that they would provide the, you know, the indemnification for claims that were there. And so, you know, in essence, you kind of double pay in some respects for that. Now, it's, I mean, not a dollar for dollar, you know,
But yeah,
duplication, but
Looking at the pictures, it's clear what happened. The tires are like totally chewed up. The pictures you just showed me. So does he have a high probability of being successful with the contractor?
well, again, I mean, it's, you know, when governments, it's based on known hazards, because otherwise we have governmental immunity that protects the taxpayers from claims where we didn't have a known danger. And so what it comes down to is a question of whether or not the hazard in this case was you know, a known danger or not, and something that we would have needed to take particular action to prevent. And the question really in this case becomes, you know, where you are driving through an area that was part of a construction zone, you know, is there some expectation when you travel through that area that you take your own precautions to make sure that you are protected, as opposed to putting that duty on the city? And you know, at least in my opinion, the city wins that argument, but obviously the court may disagree.
So the stakes were there for a month?
Excuse me?
The stakes were left in there for about a
It was
month?
over a month. It was over a month. And I totally get your perspective on that, you know, it is an active construction site. But at the same time, it is a duty to protect the people in the neighborhood as well, you know, and I could go down a laundry list of shortcomings within the contractors. I don't want to go down that road. All I'm trying to do is, you know, right a wrong in a more than reasonable way. That's all.
If we denied this claim and then he takes it then to the construction's insurance company? Is that how it would work?
Not, I mean, certainly he could, whether they would do anything with it or not, I don't know. Typically, the way it would work is that based on our denial, he would then have the option to start a small claim suit. We then in turn would just turn that defense over to the insurance, to the contractor and their insurance company to handle for us pursuant to the terms of the contract.
Has anybody reached out to the contractor with regard to this from our office?
No, and the contract is actually, it's between the contractor and the State Department of Transportation for Morgan Avenue.
It's not even our project. It's the state's project.
Yeah,
That's the other
Morgan
part.
Avenue, it's a contract between the contractor and DOT.
Then,
So we can
Can I-
supply the name of the contractor, and you can contact the contractor to make your claim. That's the limits that
We
we can.
didn't have active oversight of
So-
any of this project.
the city of Greenfield's engineers had nothing to do with this, then I guess I would ask, why was I recommended to communicate with the city's engineer, who for several weeks didn't get back to me, which is why I had to call my alderwoman to, you know, what I mean, I'm asking the question because,
I don't know why that is.
I'm not aware of that timeline.
and I mean, like I said, I do construction commercially, and I've done similar things where you're working with the state, but also with local ordinances. And there's certain things that you have to, hoops to jump through, from seeding somebody's lawn because of construction to yada, 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 you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a gray area here that's overlapped at some level.
From my perspective, you know, the state had the contract, the state hired the contractor. We had folks on site with regard to lighting and making sure the sidewalks were going in the way they were supposed to. And we funded part of the construction by contract with the state, right?
And I guess that's where,
We had a contract with the state, basically.
I mean, your claim is very much the same, right? A different part, not the same, in the same alley.
Standard procedure for a claim like this is they contact the contractor.
you touched upon something there, though, you contracted for the sidewalks and such.
No, we contracted with the state to pay for those
Oh,
things.
to pay for those things, okay, I see.
Right, so or parts of them. I mean, I don't remember exactly what, or if this one was, I keep getting this mixed up with county projects. With this one, we pay a percentage of the cost of the project, like 10% or 20%, something like that. Well, there's no legal liability against the city for this. I mean, there just isn't, and I'm sorry that you were told to contact us and file a claim with us.
Me too.
No, really, I'm really sorry about that. Jeff, do you know the contacts at the state? I mean, there was a person from the state on site that can provide the necessary information.
Yes.
To properly file a claim with them. There's some constructive notice of this claim, I think, just because you filed it with us, maybe with them. I don't know, I can't make that legal determination. But can you give them that information so we can get this taken care of? I mean, you're fighting over I don't want to say a few hundred, few $100s.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
and it sounds like the same, I mean, they're less than 15,000 miles on these these tires. you know,
They look
so-
like brand new well, relatively new vehicles, right? And tires.
And, you know, we like to keep the new car smell on these things, you know?
Yeah. Can you do that with them?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I
what we
can.
should have, that's what should have happened at the time. Okay.
Do you want me to hang tight, or should I just contact the city?
So we're gonna be going into closed session right after this. So maybe can you go out and talk to him, or just talk to both
He
of
probably
them?
doesn't have that information at his fingertips.
Well,
You
during
want-
closed session, he can't be here anyway, so.
Do you have a
maybe-
card? I could just call you tomorrow too, and we can talk this through, or email, or what have you.
I just give me if I get your email.
That'd be fine.
Is that good? Because you gotta leave anyways. Crystal, did you want to speak too? I mean, briefly? It's the same, sounds like it's the same kind of situation, right?
I think so. We're on Chris Swedowski, 5624 South 43rd Street. The contractors were working in front of our house grading it. And for the 2 blocks, my husband asked the guys, because they actually take lunch in our front yard. So we have a half wall, they take lunch, and he even asked if it was safe to drive out there. And they told him, yes, he got less than 100 yards away and popped both of his tires simultaneously. So he'd be here, he's out of state right now working, but.
So the contractor said that
They said it was safe to go.
It was the safe
Yeah,
to
they were
drive?
taking their lunch, and he asked if it was good to go, and he got less than, 100 yards away from the house, and both tires popped. They thought that maybe he hit one of the manhole covers, because there was pink paint on them, but all of them had the construction cones on them, as well as what they were thinking was pink on our tires were the orange dots that they put on tires, like when they mark them, when they're making them or something. All 4 of our tires have those orange dots. There wasn't pink spray paint rubbed off or anything. So right away they were like, oh, maybe you hit the manhole cover, but that wasn't the case. And they still had their cones on them and everything, so.
Yeah, those are the little spikes that they run. Yeah, that's probably what they had. Okay, can you get the information from him?
Okay.
I mean, the minutes should reflect too what both parties said tonight, right? Especially with regard to your assertion.
They left our yard from lunch, because he obviously got still in sight, they could see him.
A contractor's representative said to your husband it was safe to drive, and the tires blew within 100 yards, and in your situation, they left stakes in the ground after removing the forms, providing only a 7-foot entrance, roughly 7-foot area, in which to transverse the only place that you can park. And it's 2 of the tires on the same side of the car popped as a result of hitting spikes that were left in for, you allege, about a month. Over a month or more.
Yes.
So we just want that in the record, just to make sure that we're clear about that. That might be able to assist later, okay? Is that fair with everybody? So with regard to these claims, we do have to adopt resolutions disallowing the claims. I'd entertain a motion to disallow
To both of them, or?
both of the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Castor, second by Alderperson Akers. I think you have to call on that one. So you understand what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. I'll still never pronounce your name right. Yep, you'll have to go.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Okay, this agenda is not very long before we go into closed session, so, and I apologize to Brian, but I think we can blast through pretty quickly.
Yeah, why not?
Item J3 is a claim received from Brixmore Spring Mall Limited Partnership regarding 4200 South 76th Street. They're seeking to lower their assessment. It was assigned to our counsel, Amy, and she's working on that. We've also in the process of negotiating a settlement, hopefully before the assessment rolls close for the year. Item 4 is applications for operator licenses received from those indicated. Were there any objections to any of them?
No problems.
Motion
I'd
for
entertain a
approval.
motion to approve the
Second.
by Kastner, second by Akers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. 5 is an application for a temporary Class B retailer license from St. John the Evangelist to sell malt beverages at a fish fry held indoors on November 15th from 3 to 8. Entertain a motion to
Motion to
approve
approve.
Second.
with the languages included. Motion by Kastner, second by Labatsky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. It looks like items 6, 7, and 8 can be removed from the agenda.
No, just 8.
Just 8 can be removed from the agenda. Looks like items 6 and 7 were at the Board of Public Works, where Alderperson Labatsky is the chair, and entertain a motion to approve those 2 items.
So moved.
Motion by Alderperson Labatsky, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian, would you please call? This is for items 6 and 7. Sorry, we got a new automated.
Why are we taking 8 off?
They don't.
Prior to the
you-
meeting,
We
we-
Energies is changing their mind on the agreement.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Okay, items 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 were all from the Finance Committee. I'd entertain a motion to approve those items.
I move for approval.
Motion by Alderperson Sarian, is there
Second.
a second by Alderperson Labatsky? Would you please call? This is for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Alderperson Labatsky.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers?
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian?
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner?
Aye.
Okay, so we are now at item 15, which is going into closed session. Before we go into closed session, the folks operating the camera can turn it off because it's likely when we come out of closed session, there will only be one item that doesn't have any real strong public interest, I would guess. Item number 15 is a notice to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent B, and F, considering licensure, social or personal history, or medical information, and then reconvene into open session to take such action as deemed appropriate. It's with regard to operator licenses received from, and it's D. Mays, right? Mr. Hawk is not here this evening, so it is only Mr. Mays. Would you please call to go into close? I'd entertain a motion to go into close.
So moved.
By Alderperson Akers.
Second.
Second by Alderperson Lebowski. Would you please call?
Alderperson Labatsky?
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey?
Aye.
Alderperson Akers?
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian?
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner?
Aye.
Okay, now we are in closed session, and it just paused by itself, so I think.
Want him to move up here? Do you want to come up here and have a seat up here at this table? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here, so I.
Yeah, I'm just, sorry. I wasn't trying to make you stay.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, so.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to go into open session
So
at
moved.
7:56 by Akers, was that?
Yes.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Alderperson Kastner, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries at 7:56. We're now in open session. And I just put my agenda away. Does the council wish to take any action with regard to the, let's see, what number was that? That was item 15A, the licensure of Linnell D. Mays. Entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Motion by Alderperson Lebowski to deny. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Alderperson Bailey. Is there a second?
Second.
By Alderperson Kastner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Alderperson Lebowski is the only dissenting vote. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I read it.
The motion is granted. You need to see her tomorrow. Okay? Items for future agenda coming up is the budget hearing. Also the Grove, which is the development on 124th and roughly Edgerton and,
The westernmost one of the two over there,
right, the other one. Other than that,
the dense one.
all right. Anything else for anybody?
Motion
Entertain a
to
motion to
adjourn?
adjourn by Alderperson Akers. Is there a second? Second by Alderperson Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
You just came to watch us?
Yeah.